So it is Wednesday, the 23rd of March. We have to say that, Janine, because there's so many pirate channels out
Oh
there that
yeah,
this
yeah,
gets shared and shared and shared. So 23rd of March, and I should say the year 2022 as well, because I've noticed a lot of our original ones popping up.
yeah,
How are you doing, Janine? What a roller coaster of a few weeks you've had.
yeah, yeah. It's been. I didn't even know what day it was. It's like,
Yeah.
but I have a house full of company, but it's lovely to see, especially my daughter's here, and that's wonderful, and her fella. Um, yeah, I'm doing great, especially since my mom visited me. So I woke up and she was spiritually beside me, and got a download that she was with us in the fight. So yeah, that changed everything. I just feel so at peace, like, and I feel really close to her, like I was telling you.
It's just amazing, isn't it? And it's been, I don't know what to call it. I don't know whether to call it brave or just you, because you've got back up on your horse very, very quickly. And I think
Mhm.
that's because you have had that amazing experience, haven't you? And you've got that clarity and you feel so clear about your relationship.
Yeah. It kind of healed, like any kind of weirdness that was going on there in the last couple of years. But also, yeah, she told me she was proud of me, and that was so exciting. I mean, it's very healing to hear those things, even if it's spiritually. To me, that's really valid. So it validated what I'm doing. Also, she said, get back on your horse. She basically said, like in a way that she would say it in life, don't be a slacker. Get back up there and keep working, because I could have taken more time off, and I was feeling kind of funny about working, and I didn't know if I'd start crying on camera or whatever. But when she said that, I was like, yeah, because this is no time we can't slack off. A lot of our loved ones are going to be on the other side helping us. That's the feeling I got from what she was saying. They're on the other side now to help us. They're going to help.
I feel that so strongly about my dad, who passed in June 2020, and I probably will start crying. But I think everyone watching this video is going to have been through that. Everyone is going to have lost a loved one in whatever circumstance, either physically off the earth plane or emotionally, or we're going to talk today about losing and gaining friends in the journey we've all been on. And I think what was really wonderful for me is when I heard you do that video about that your mum had come, it sort of immediately pushed away. I mean, obviously we talk a lot off camera, and we don't have to share everything that we talk about on camera, but it when someone's lost someone, it can be really hard, can't it, for
Yeah.
friends and loved ones to know what to say, because there's
Yeah.
nothing really anyone can say to make it better. So
Yeah.
for me, I was so grateful, because I was like, oh, okay, right, I know I can mention it now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's it's very helpful for everyone. So you did us all a favor there. So thank you, Janine. From a selfish point, but it can be really awkward, can't it? Because people
Yeah.
can know how to approach the situation.
Yeah, everybody's so different in grieving, and like I'm seeing that with family members.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's very personal, isn't it? It's very
yeah,
personal, and just doing what you need for you. Well, we've got a
exactly.
bit of a different show for people today. We were going to do it last week, but obviously we needed to have that time off.
Yep.
And we've both got some exciting announcements to make, haven't we? So
Yep.
start off the thing. This is going to be the last of the Wednesday shows that Janine and I are doing together, but we've got some very good reasons for doing it. So do you want to, just before we sort of go through sort of our journey, do you want to tell the listeners a bit about, you've got some really exciting plans, haven't you, for your channel?
Yeah. So I pushed them all to April. I was going to start maybe even this week, but everything got sort of off the schedule. But by April, and around right the 1st of April, even, I'm going to start doing a lot more things on my Sending Ravens. So it's almost got 100,000 subscribers. By May 1st, I told the universe I wanted 100,000 on there. And the Tarot by Janine has 150. By
Yeah.
the end of today, it'll have 150. It's like real close. So I'm super proud of those channels, and I just want to put more effort into especially the Sending Ravens, because it's really personal to me. There's nobody else doing that but me, and I wanted to do more interviews similar to how you bringing people on and chatting, and learned a lot from you, learned a lot from Jean-Claude, watching the two of you handle people, and I think I want to take a stab at that. I think it'd be really fun. And I really do appreciate people out there that are bringing info and all the different slants, and ways to see things. And I just want to have more guests on, including yourself.
It's really exciting, and cheers for that. Our Wednesday nights wouldn't be the same without my glass of wine, which causes
right on
comments with people. A bit early for you, but this is part of the journey, isn't it? It's really exciting to hear you doing that, and it's amazing how things come together, because I'm sort of evolving in my channel as well.
Yep.
And people can make a lot of drama about when change happens, but
yep.
a lot of the time, conscious change is really, really important to move forward and honor where we're both at. So in a similar way, on my channel, I'm really excited. I've got lots of new guests coming. Doesn't mean I don't love the existing guests and are going to not be speaking to you. And it'd be lovely to have the opportunity to speak to you as you, rather than just asking all the questions all the time.
Yep.
But I think all of us who've been on this journey for a while, and I would imagine a lot of the listeners, we're all evolving through our own journeys, because personally, I spent the last sort of 2 years going through call it the awakening, this discovery phase. And now I'm really passionate about sharing with my listeners about how to live our best lives possible.
Yep.
I needed to accumulate that knowledge and realize where we were at, sort of globally, universally, all creatures great and small. But now I'm really excited to be moving forward about, okay, and now how are we all going to create this wonderful new future together?
Yeah, that's right. Wow. Yeah, I've been noticing you've been doing a lot of roundtables, which I think is really exciting. Bringing all those people together, real magic and alchemy can happen on those.
I love it. I love hearing.
Yep.
And again, you and I have spoken about this quite a lot before. I'm in this journey, and I know for you, you've been very open at speaking to loads of different people and expanding your mind to new ways of thinking. And I don't want to just be speaking to people that agree with me all the time, because my point is I want to expand my consciousness, and I don't get that just by having people repeat back the same things that I think. So, and I've learned so much, Janine. I don't know about you, but by the different styles. So take one of our friends. So I found David Cohen through you.
Yeah.
He was brave enough to contact you and ask you onto his channel. And then I can remember I saw him on there, and I thought, oh, that's brave. Well done. And I really liked him, and obviously thought, oh, I wonder if Janine is up for me contacting her.
Yeah.
And now I look at how David's evolved over the last year and a half, and it's just wonderful to see. So what have been some of your breakthrough moments over this last couple of years?
Oh, yeah. Like going on various different channels, and even channels that like you said, people that don't necessarily see it exactly the same way you do, but they're bringing their own version. And it was really fun talking to David. It was really fun talking to the twins from Australia. Well, they call themselves the Soul Twins. That was really fun. There were so many breakthroughs. Actually being on your show was like a big breakthrough, because now I was talking to the UK. It felt like I had a connection to the UK, and I love the UK. Cachet's dad's side of the family. Yeah. Cachet's dad was born in the UK.
Oh,
He's family are Caribbean, but he was born in the UK. And I went there when Cachet was just a little boy. I went to London around the Canby market area. And that's where Cachet's godmom is. And I stayed with her. She's one of the most beautiful humans actually I've ever met.
Wow.
Incredible woman. Anyway, yeah, it was a breakthrough being on your show, because I literally felt like I had a bridge to the UK, like this whole area that feels really somehow close to me in a really funny way. It's a place I want to explore more. And then Australia, you know, getting on the Australian show. Those were the big, meeting Tamara. Oh my goodness. Meeting her on, you know, like Zoom, not in person. I'd love to meet her in person. We're like literally soul sisters. And yeah, that was crazy what happened there on that show we had with Jean-Claude, where we all discovered crazy past lives, a crazy story just evolved. And those kind of things happen. It's like alchemy when you're on shows with people.
It is quite amazing, isn't it? I mean, if I'd have sat there and thought 2 years ago, all the people that I've met, it's just been incredible. Absolutely. And I know it's going to continue to be incredible for all of us. And I think also one of the things that's been the biggest breakthrough for me is seeing the way that the listeners and the people that bother to listen to our videos and comment, just really seeing how we've all been going on this journey together has been really special, actually.
Yeah. I've had lots of emails where, especially after that show with Tamara, everybody was remembering their past lives. And it seems to me we're likely the star seeds and connected. We're likely had lifetimes together. And who first sort of started really exploring that on camera was Michael Jaco.
Yeah.
So he would bring up these past lives he thought him and I had together. And then I'd do the cards on it. It was totally mind blowing. It's like, wow, I'd never thought of like I totally get the whole past life thing. And I've remembered a lot of mine, but he brought all of these other ones that I never thought, you know, I was a part of. And here it was, turned out I was. So I think we have a lot more, first of all, past lives than we thought. You know, we could be living simultaneous lifetimes. I mean, those have been some of the breakthroughs in the last 2 years. Another big breakthrough, of course, originally for me was finding out that Mr. T was a good guy. Like,
yeah,
literally,
amazing.
yeah, it was like, oh my goodness, and having to change and eat some crow on that. But that's really, I know that's good for us, and that's good for me for sure this lifetime. Crow is one of my totems. Crow, one of my totems. Crow. That's an eye of a raven over there. Somebody sent it to me and I had it framed. But oh yeah, and all the connections, like you were saying with the viewers, it's like I've literally made friends. People email me on the regular, and I feel like we're friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I can't get to all the emails, but there's ones I recognize, and I'll always see what they want to say, because it feels like we're developing a connection. Yeah, it's incredible.
I think that's been really, really important for everyone. And when you look at the input, the personalities, there's such a cross range. Like you mentioned, Michael Jaco, who was one of the first people that I started listening to. Yeah. I think he's amazing. And what I'm loving is the fact that so many of these conversations are normal now, aren't they? And whether they're just normal in our huge global group that we're all part of, but you know, conversations that we're having now, which we can talk completely openly and honestly about. Certainly in my life, I wasn't able to do that a few years ago, or didn't have many people who'd be prepared to join in.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling, the stuff we say that sounds normal. Now, and like, just how history has literally been lying to us. Like, what is our history, our human? It's almost like we have a huge discovery trip to go on here as humans going forward. When everything really comes out in the public, I think we're all going to have to really dig into what really is our history. I think we're going to need to, some writers are going to have to get on the ball and start writing the true history. I know there is a lot of it sprinkled out there. We don't even know if that's correct. Like, that part's really wild to me. We're going to need the psychics and intuitives piecing things together. We're going to need great intuitive minds to come together and just hash it out, figure out and feel intuitively what's real, because everything that's been written down, I'm suspicious of everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think, Janine, I mean, first of all, I'm just saying to everyone listening to you, if people are joining halfway through, they're going to think, why is Catherine not asking questions to the cards? Go watch at the beginning, because this is a really important show for Janine and I. I mean, I feel quite emotional because I've been on such a journey with you over the last year and a half.
Yep.
We've talked about so many different things. We've been through so many highs and lows. I think the one thing we've all learned is not to stick on dates and get hung up on dates. And for me, a big one's been letting go of the control of things and thinking that you've got to control these things, because it's so freeing when you do let go of that control.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And also understanding that things do need to happen in universal time. Okay, we can't push or make things happen just because we'd like them to. And understanding all of these different points of view, all of these different, like for instance, talking to you and your audience, it's like getting to understand how they think in the UK and how they're feeling about things, and maybe even how Ireland and Scotland are feeling about things, and being on a show with some Australian people and getting their perspective, because New Zealanders, we otherwise wouldn't know really how these people see things. Also, we get all their kitsch phrases and understand culturally. It's like a cultural explosion. I remember having a couple of shows with people from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And a couple of shows from in the Netherlands. I can't remember Paul, this fellow named Paul. And it was like, it's like opens this door to an area that you didn't really know much about. And it's just fascinating. And it's so good because my audience will watch, who mainly, I would say, US, Canada, UK, Australia. And then all of a sudden I was getting viewers from, you know, the Netherlands and South Africa and all. Oh yeah, being on the South African channel.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So many breakthroughs.
There's so many breakthroughs, and I hope everyone that's listening for it can sort of, you know, I hope this is sort of getting people to really think about their breakthroughs and how different a person you might be as an individual to where you were a couple of years ago. Because as Janine mentioned, both of us with Mr. T, you know, we've, you know, there's so many things that we've been really happy to be proved wrong on.
Yep. Oh yeah. I've been really happy. And now when I do go back and listen to his speeches, I get it, right? I also see how CNN and other channels like that spun everything he said. So they take this part, and what they weren't telling you was how he talks in rhymes. And now that we know what we know about what's going on in the background, it's a lot easier to understand what he was really saying. So it must have been really frustrating for the people who knew, you know, kind of about the white hats and what was going on. I mean, Carrie Cassidy says she knew about the white hats 20 years ago, at least.
Yeah.
So she knew there was a group, what we call the white hats, you could call them the Alliance. She knew there was a group in the background working to undo a lot of the damage that was being done to humans. She knew about them 20 years ago. That must be frustrating for people that knew, because I honestly, 2.5 years ago, this is all news to me that we've been talking about.
I've never learned so much actually about areas that I deliberately steered clear of because I didn't trust any of the information. And now I'm just like a sponge, and I'm so desperate to learn and keep learning. I mean, I've always been that like that in certain areas, but now all sorts of things, you know, politics of different areas. I mean, I've never done so much studying as I have recently on the Ukraine, and it's just fascinating. I'm thinking, well, I never got told any of this in history. So it's just really amazing as this information starts coming out. But equally, like you, I don't believe any of it at face value. I'm just looking at it, well, that's interesting. Does it resonate? Am I going to look further into this?
Yeah, absolutely.
What about oh, sorry, carry on.
I also found it interesting to see all the different ways people acquire or gather information. Like in the truther community, you got people that have input and intel. Other people are reading drops, you know, from that letter of the alphabet. bunch that, and they'll go back into them even years ago and decipher them for others. And then there's the, I hadn't even heard of, like I've heard of numerology, but I never heard of gematria. And that's a whole different form of numerology. And talking to, Tom Numbers about how he comes up with his intel, and or it's like the spirit world talks in so many different ways. And I think a lot of people hadn't maybe, and I've seen this in a lot of the comments, would never listen to a tarot reader on world events. But I have a lot of people kind of open their minds to tarot, and some of them even thought it was evil and bad. And, things that have been told to us, we have to question it, because anything that's a tool like that, that's that powerful, obviously can be used for good or bad. So it's fascinating.
And that goes for everything, doesn't it? It goes for cars, it goes for guns, it goes for Zoom, it goes for absolutely everything.
Yep.
It's the intent behind it, and the person, hopefully not AI, behind it that directs that. And that was going to be my question, Janine, is for you. Has one of your breakthroughs been to have such a large acceptance of your skill in tarot reading? Because I know you've been doing this, for a huge part of your life, but to have people from all walks of life now really take it that seriously, is that quite transformational for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I did have a large clientele, and a lot of my clients, this is going to sound interesting because this is not the case for a lot of readers, but because I was a daily reader and I'm kind of fast and direct, as you know, and I don't do too much diverting from the question. Like somebody wants to ask, I mean, sometimes the cards won't directly answer the question and you got to go with whatever you're getting. But generally people could come in and have a list of questions. So I did a lot of business people and people starting their own business. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of, even when my mom started up, so she started a business in Lacombe, Alberta years ago, and they were going to spend all their life saving on this business, and they were worried about it. And my mom actually asked me for a reading on it, which I was so honored. And exactly what I said happened in her business. It became what funded the next phase of their life, where they built this log home and bought themselves some acreage. And their life dream came out of the business she bought, and she was so successful with it. She turned around a little card shop and turned it into a beautiful gift shop. My mom had incredible good taste in, for her, at times, like not exactly my taste, but really good taste in colors and decorating, and was really good at choosing art. So she turned this little card shop into an artisan place where you could buy local artists' work. And also they put their antiques in it. So mom and dad refinished antiques. In particular, my dad does that. And the place was littered in these antiques that, of course, they were really big sellers. And then they put the art and or sculpture or whatever on the antiques and show it off. And then my mom sold it within a certain amount of years and really did well, all because, she took the chance. They took that chance. So I had a lot of clientele that would come in for that sort of thing. So it wasn't beyond me. I wasn't just getting people talking about their love life or worried about their sibling rivalry or whatever. I actually got all kinds of people, and in particular business people. I was kind of popular with them, and businessmen, women, and lawyers, and people that owned huge. I still have a few people I chat with really like, that I just can't let go of.
Yeah.
I love them, and I concerned about what they're doing, and sometimes they'll phone me for advice. But so I already had people listening that would normally a lot of readers wouldn't maybe get as clients. So I didn't undervalue, the tarot. It's a great tool, but to have people listening about world events, that's a huge shift for sure. And that many people, and a lot of Christian people, because a lot of patriots consider themselves really strong Christians. And I actually healed a lot of my issues around Christianity because being brought up Catholic and then really feeling like there was something demonic about it. That part I was always red pilled about. And now I know I was right. Okay. But that doesn't mean Christians who are genuine good Christians aren't really good people, obviously. But I tended to lump everybody together in a category over here. And I really opened my mind up because some of the biggest hearts that opened to me were very strong Christians. And the Patriot group is largely strong Christian base, is what I find. Not all of them, but of course that's a big base. And I'm finding a lot of acceptance among them, and I'm being more accepting. So we heal together that, you know.
I think that's been a huge part of the journey. It's been interesting for me because a lot of my clients that I've been working with them and their animals for years, they're all awake. They're all awake. So when the first lockdown came, you know, none of them were worried about whether I was going out or wearing a mask or anything like that. It's interesting because you didn't realize how much you had in common, and then this hits and it's just a real leveler. One of the other things I think, Janine, I'd like your opinion on is, do you think that this last 2 years and this sort of awakening movement has really been a leveler in terms of getting rid of the snobbery around intellectual jobs and things? Because never have we been more grateful at the moment for all types of workers, all types of skills. I think people are really appreciating now that you need every type of skill to build a good community.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like the trucker movement, for instance. I mean, that's just one example, but absolutely. And also everybody in the chats and everybody that's commenting, they're from every walk of life. Everybody's been affected, and they can really shine in their own intuitive knowing and intelligence, regardless of educational background. In fact, we're finding out that people that were really, really studious, sometimes that makes you more programmable. So those kind of people might not be in the truther movement. You know what I mean? A lot of people commenting that they weren't good in school, or they didn't listen. They had trouble in school, you know, and not all of them, of course, but a large part of the truther movement, and possibly because those are not programmable type people. I've discovered that anyway about myself, for sure.
Yeah, and it's really fantastic. I mean, one of the things I've really discovered is you just cannot put anyone in a box.
No.
Because every walk of life, you've got, you know, you can have people that have had identical education, pretty similar. I know there's no such thing as an identical upbringing, but, you know, look at what most people are experiencing in their families and things. And, you know, you can't say it's this reason that I'm awake or that reason. It's just needs to be a soul contract, doesn't it? Because you either get it and are open to switching that awareness on, and that can happen at any time for all of us. As you say, we've all woken up about different things, and I'm sure that's going to continue. I mean, the one thing we know, it's not going to stop. Not pretending that I'm not going to be surprised and shocked by certain things, but much more accepting of it.
Kind of learning about going back to the cultural difference thing. So Canadians and US people, and I have a huge following in the US. So you know, it was really fascinating to get to know people in the US a lot better, just through commenters, people emailing, being on shows. Like I was thinking of Patriot Dave, who, by the way, is one of the finest, kindest, and most gentleman and upstanding human I've ever met, really. And I never knew anybody like him. And I don't know what I mean by that, but from where he's from, and, you know, it feels like we don't have a lot in common. And then we get on a show together, and we did really good work together. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's doing incredible work. I'm watching, and he's just blossoming, having all of these guests, and he's very unassuming. So he just lets people be themselves on his show. And it's just so much fun to get these little glimpses into areas in the world where I've never been. I hope I go someday, where he's from, and he's probably never talked to too many Canadians from Western Canada, which is very different, by the way, from Eastern Canada. Eastern Canadians are really different than Western Canadians. Then we get together with Jean-Claude, and it's like he's so what that's really fun, because my family backgrounds, even though I don't speak any French, my mom is a Doucette, Yvette Doucette. She's French. That was her maiden name, Doucette, which is a very common French name, French Canadian. But they came up through New Orleans. They got kicked out of the Montreal area and spent many generations even in New Orleans area. So they were known as the Cajun French. Okay, how do you like that? And then they ended up sneaking back into Canada by way of Saskatchewan. I don't know how that happened. And that's a province where there was a lot of land to be crown land that they ended up homesteading, and made communities there, and ended up in Alberta. And so I got a French Canadian mom and all her family. And then I get to meet Jean-Claude, who's totally, truly French Canadian and speaks French, and then all the connections that he has. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's like pulling the world together through the truther community.
I agree, it really has. And the other thing I think, Janine, is it's shown that age is irrelevant as well, because we've both got friends that are older than us, younger than us. Yep. And it's just so great because, you know, society sort of has tried up until now to put people into boxes. Yep. And I think the last couple of years have just broken down all those boxes.
Yep. Yeah, having like Megan Rose on my show, and we just hit it off, and she could be like a young daughter. That's how old, like the kind of age group she is. And then Ashley and I, well, I've always been a little funny about, I have lots of friends who are a lot younger and some that are a lot older. And I've never really, I see myself sometimes 17 when it comes to musical interest. Yeah, so I'm hard pressed to, people my age find me difficult if we're going on a road trip together. So when Ashley and I met, it was like music lovers at, you know, like we just hit it off, and in so many ways too, because she's very magical too. And she's, very different age. She could literally be my daughter too.
Yeah, same here. I've got really good friends that could be my daughters, you know, like Bryce, you know, David, and it's just really fascinating. And it's weird because when you're having those conversations, you don't think about it all. So I just think it's been such a leveler. And what has really delighted me more than anything is the Great Reset has been tried to isolate and separate. And actually what's happened is we've all pulled together in such a strong way. It's completely backfired. And how are you feeling about where everything is now, where we are now?
Oh, I think we've learned a lot. I think as a human race, we've learned a lot. As individuals, we've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I've had to really rethink a lot of philosophies and kind of quickly catch up to what's really going on. I've actually discovered that I'm not that stuck, actually, because when all of this hit, I dropped everything and jumped on where I thought I needed to be.
Yeah.
And so I feel really proud about that. And even when I knew I had to drop my clientele, that was hard because that took me 35 years to build. And that was a big income of mine. But it was like, you know what? I'm doing great on the channels now too. And so it's not that, you know, I'm so concerned about money all the time, but I had to, I feed a lot of people, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I can't help even adult children and putting my son through school. And, you know, so to me, it was, okay, that's my income, that's my livelihood. But I knew the truther movement was what the universe had planned for me. And always when I do what I'm supposed to do spiritually, when I know in my soul, I have to do this, I always get taken care of. So it wasn't unheard of for me to just go, okay, I'm stepping off that and I'm going to go over here. And sure enough, I was taken care of. So that part felt just natural, but it also showed me that even at 60, I can still be flexible. I feel really good about that because I know that's not always the case. And I didn't know, I was never in a position like what happened to everybody here. And none of us were ever in a position where we found out our actual governments are trying to take us out. we'll put it
Exactly.
that way. And just finding out that everything we thought was true was a lie, and just everything, flip everything, and everything that's been going on underground, and
Mm.
those kind of situations. Finding out how many people already knew about that was fascinating to me too. It's like, oh my God, that must have been hard for them because nobody was listening to them.
I completely agree. I mean, I can remember the look on my friends and family's faces when I first went on the first protest up in London and was walking next to David Icke, and I went to
Yeah,
meet them afterwards, and I was like the great unwashed, and it was just, I was thinking, can you imagine what it must be like for people like
yeah,
him that
yeah,
have just been ridiculed and for so long, but
yeah,
thank God for these brave people
yeah,
haven't given up and have spoken
yeah,
out. And I agree with you. I mean, it was really fascinating because I've changed careers loads of times in my life, but I've always gone, and I never realized why, because I didn't really think about how I've made the decision. But obviously, speaking to a lot more spiritual people over the last couple of years and having different conversations, realizing that I've just always gone on what it felt and ignored everyone telling me not to do it. And it's always
yeah,
been the right decision.
yeah,
And very much like a lot of people that we can't mention now because we think they're probably not as great we thought we are, but you just don't wait until you know how to do
yeah,
something. Do it and then find out on the journey. It's such good fun doing that, isn't it? And
yeah,
that's what I think we're both going to be
yeah,
continuing to do, because we don't know. I mean, who knows what we'll both be speaking about in 6 months' time.
yeah, that's right. Oh, and I wanted to mention, what was a real proud moment for me was when you had, the first time we had that part one with Dr. Northrup,
I was going to
Christina
mention that.
Northrup.
Wasn't that
Oh
amazing?
my goodness, for her to actually watch my show and think I'm cool was like mind blowing. Because look at her achievements in the world. It's like looking at people who are so, have done their work, done the research, fought the system like she has, but been in the system, so really knows it inside out, and came around to where she is and how many people she affects, and just the incredible work she does. Okay, just being on a show with her, so that was really wonderful that you had us both on that show. And then to do a part two with her and to find out she actually thinks I'm kind of cool, like that was like, wow, that was a moment, one of those moments.
I agree. It was a real moment for me as well, because one, I can't believe that I got to speak to Dr. Christiane Northrop,
Yeah,
because I've been following her work for years,
yeah.
absolutely very aligned what we think about on the holistic side of things.
Mhm.
But this is what I mean, it's been such a great leveler. And I've learned from a lot of my friends on the way. So my good friend Kelly Rivers, who actually I haven't spoken to for a long while, not because we've fallen out or anything, just
Yeah,
because we're just doing different things with our lives at the moment. But
yeah,
when this all started, she was a really big influence on me, because she very much was very brave at just not putting anyone on a pedestal and saying, well, I'm quite happy to contact people and ask them to speak to me. Whilst I was
yeah,
still very much in my British mindset about, oh, I might not, they're not going to want to speak to me yet. And that's been one of the biggest surprises to me, Janine, is how many people have said yes. How many of
mhm.
these people have been really pleased to actually have these conversations,
Yeah,
and there's not been any snobbery around it.
yeah, yeah, like big name. You've been on lots of shows actually, like Charlie Ward quite a few
Yeah.
times. Didn't he come on your show?
Yeah, he's been on mine quite a lot of times, and Mel
Yeah,
Kay is a really good
Mel
friend
K. Yeah.
now.
Oh, Mel K. Yeah. Wow.
She's
What a
amazing,
dynamo.
absolutely amazing. And
Yeah.
it's really taught me that, and for listeners out there, the biggest thing I've learned, well, no, there's so many things. I could list a whole thing on my whiteboard over there, but just ask. What's the worst that could
Yeah.
happen? Someone says
Yeah.
no. And I must admit, I was not good at that at the start at all. I didn't think to ask you if you'd speak to me until I saw you speaking to David, and then I thought, she might be open to another offer, let's just contact you and see. And then you said yes. So
Yeah.
it's really important lesson for people, isn't it, is
Yeah.
just ask. Don't let anything put you off if there's something you want to do.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have David on the show too. He reached out to me about my mom, and I was like,
It's
yeah,
adorable.
Let's have him on the show. It's going to be really fun to invite other people on my little sending rave and see what happens.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's a really exciting direction that you're going in. And I think it's going to be really, really good, because you're still doing so many of the readings. So for all the audience that want that, but also you're branching out to do what's calling you to move forward. And I think, again, none of us are meant to just stay doing the same things forever, are we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh,
it's also really fun to watch different people when I was invited on shows, what they would ask me. So different areas of the world had really different concerns. Your audience had a real slant who was writing to you and the kinds of questions you'd ask. And because as a reader and the way I read, I really appreciate a well-asked question. And it can be about anything. And I can work on the spot. So I'm kind of lucky that way, because I don't need time to connect the guides and write down the answers they give. My work happens right in that first couple of seconds when it's the questions asked and the cards get laid out. And I think that really helped me be on a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Because a person can work with that, right? And I just loved people with well thought out and questions, and could bring a good question. You know what I mean? Yourself and Jean-Claude comes to mind, and David was really good at that too. And you know what I mean? So many people. Huna Flash. I love Huna Flash. He's very spiritual. We get into a whole vibe. Like when Huna and I get on Zoom together, it's not even the same vibration as any other show. And a lot of people comment, it's like we get onto this Zen vibe that I can't explain. It almost like Hawaiian or something. It's like, it almost feels like there's Hawaiian music in the background, and there's hula dancers, and everything's just cool, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in terms of what would be, for everyone listening at the moment, what would be some of your words of wisdom for people now? Because there's still an awful lot going on. There's still an awful lot to be resolved.
Stay open-minded. So many people are showing their cards one way or the other. Not to say they might not have even been like truthers. There's all this gossip. That's always been the case about truthers. They're this and they're that. And but don't just because somebody tells you they're this and they're that doesn't mean it's true. Go do your own research. There's been a lot of campaigns against different people. And then, of course, you could literally be dealing with bots. You could literally be dealing with, right? So just try to touch base with your own intuitive knowing. If you enjoy that person's information and the way they bring it, then you listen to them, because there's been huge campaigns against some really great truthers that woke us all up, and it's not cool. It's like, and doesn't mean what you're hearing is true. You see how the mainstream media can spin. So when somebody gets too big, now they become a target for the mainstream media and the bad guys. They want to take those guys down. So keep that in mind. The bigger somebody is, the more viewers, the more that mainstream energy is going to try to come and undermine them. So just try to go with your gut instincts about what somebody's bringing.
Yeah, exactly. And also everyone is going through their own journey at the same time as well, because everyone's just human themselves. Well,
yeah,
that's a joke. Some people aren't just human, but in terms of what they're going through, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what information they've just had. And there's just, it's been quite fascinating to me to watch how quickly people can turn. And I'm thinking, have we learned nothing over the last 2 years about discernment, about to wait, about feel with it, about, there's sometimes in your life you need to make a quick decision. If you're being chased by a murderer, you want to get the hell out of there. But there's other times when you want to sit and think about it and ponder on it, and not stop that, as you've just said, that outside influence, and so said this and so said that. And also a lot of people are getting their information from different sources, if in every realm that we could possibly imagine about. And there is no right or wrong answer to a lot of this. Things are shifting all the time. So, it's so easy. The great thing is you've got a choice. Just stop watching.
Exactly.
Simple
Stop
as
watching.
that.
Yeah. And everybody's taste in how they can hear truth is different. Like somebody can get one person who's really intense and passionate, and somebody else will listen and that feels too pushy to them, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're wrong, or you know. And also there's been a lot of timelines
Yeah.
that have you know, been a potential. So one person will get this whole story about a timeline, and then the timeline switches, and the chessboard changes and everything changes. It doesn't mean they're wrong per se. Okay, if their intention was good in bringing the information, you know, it was a potential. There's been so many potential moves, and but the energy of how things are unfolding has generally stayed, I think, true. Right. So generally things are unfolding. We're knowing a lot more. People are waking up. They'll never get away with what they've been getting away with, because everyone's onto their signaling. The digital soldiers catch on to all of these videos out there in mainstream media is clearly going down. It's hardly being watched compared to truthers. So how do you like that? Like huge leaps. And we've been right generally. Okay. But little details get switched and changed. You know what I mean? So just staying with the big picture, I think people need, and also remembering, and we've all learned this, and I know you and I both talk a lot about this, but creating your own vision of the future and not falling for the gut punches. As soon as a video is titled literally like we're doomed and the human race is going down and expect 20 years of famine, and I'm not watching that video. Okay. Cause I'm not going to manifest that. That's definitely what the bad guys had planned for us, but I don't see that they're going to manifest. Why would we let them? Why would I watch that? You know what I mean? So I'm really careful with what I'm ingesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good advice, because it is so important, and we're all responsible for, we all know what it's like. You know how you're feeling that day, and you know on a personal level what you can take that day and what you can't. Yeah. And also the other thing is if something's triggering you, don't automatically assume it's the other person's fault. You know, yeah. It can be. I mean, sometimes it can be. Yeah. But, you know, it's not always the less of you. Yeah. But, you know, also it's just like, doesn't matter, let it go. You know, I think every single person watching here will realize that life is sometimes very short, in this particular body that we've chosen to come back in this time. Yep. And actually don't sweat the small stuff. Has never been more important to me. I mean, it's just like, you know, I can remember when I started, Janine, I used to think, oh God, everything's really messy behind. And now I only ever notice if my mum points it out to me. Did you why didn't you pick that up? And also it's really funny because she thinks that she pretends she doesn't watch my videos unless there's mess in the background, and then I realize
and then you're going to hear about it,
and then I go to and now I don't even think about tidying up before I do it. It's really, really funny, isn't it? So I think
that's awesome.
Small stuff, and gratitude has been a massive part of, I think, for this last thing. Do you feel that the people that you're interacting with and that you're seeing really thrive in this time, do you think that they are the ones that are really having gratitude in what we would have before perhaps said the simple things in life?
Oh yeah. I think that's really accurate, actually. I also think they're the ones that can move with change, because if you were really stuck on it, just has to be this way, and Jasara Nasara has to go do and should have happened already, or it's never going to happen, and it can't happen in a unique way. Some version of it can't happen. You need to have an open mind right now and be really flexible to be able to move through these changing times. I mean, also to grasp the good and the positive. Because if you were the type who only glommed onto the doom and gloom, like you'd be in such big trouble, because really we have been through some really hard, very strange times the last. And if you were the type to only see what isn't right about the world right now, you'd be in big trouble. So it's really important to see the big picture and feel what has changed. Ourselves have changed. We've opened up, we've grown with our audiences. We've grown by knowing each other, knowing all of the other people's whose shows we've been invited on. Like, it's incredible how much we've learned. And if you didn't see that and you only saw, okay, the white hats haven't shown themselves officially to the general, even the normies don't know about them. Okay, now, yeah, you could see trouble in the world, but you have to see the nuances and all the little wins.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm so hopeless at remembering who said what quotes, but someone very famous, and I'm sure someone in the comments would tell us, is you've got to decide, are you going to look at the universe in terms of everything's working for you, or are you going to look at the universe in terms of everything's working against you? And that is something I start and finish my day with, is like, my universe, everything's working for me. And I might not understand the reasons at the time, but I'm sticking with that, and it's working for me so far. And I certainly think you do.
Yeah, that's absolutely my motto. Has been actually for many years. And it got me through to here for sure.
Yeah, big time. Absolutely big time. So we're going to really enjoy the next stage of our journeys and everything. And yes, it might be goodbye of the regular card reading Wednesday shows for us, but it's certainly not goodbye, it's farewell. And as they say, it's been emotional, but in a good way. So thank you so much for everything you've done for me, my channel, my listeners over the next year, last sort of year and a half, and onwards and upwards. And as we say in Britain, bottoms up.
Yep.
One of our sayings. And yeah, really, really good luck, and lots of love to all the family as well, 2- and 4-legged.
Yeah, thank you for that. And speaking of 4-legged.
Oh my God, he's
hanging out. I had the other one on the other side too.
It's very unusual. I haven't got mine here, but my new cat, Mitzi.
Oh, how's Mixie?
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe she's just perfect in every way. She has just settled in like an absolute dream. We're all completely in love. She's getting brilliantly with all the other animals. I am going to do a video on my channel about it, because one of the things that I've got so good at over the last 20 years is how to successfully introduce a new animal of whatever species. So I've got it down to fine art now.
Oh, great.
I cannot tell you how much joy she's bringing to us, and she's just absolutely amazing. And obviously it never replaces the ones you've lost. You don't want it to replace, but seeing the joy of giving another animal, she is so happy and so loving. It's just absolutely amazing. So you're all going to be seeing lots more of Mitzi over the next forever on. She's amazing. So yeah, if in doubt, cuddle a cat, everyone. He's absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure he looks like he's grown since I last saw him. Was at the canyon.
What, Rufus?
Yes.
Oh, he's huge. I mean,
been eating well. You're a big boy, Rufus.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's 14 now. So
yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, thank you so much, Janine. Let's see what they do. Say really good luck. I hope everything goes all well with the family arrangements and everything. And thank you everyone who's watched and contributed over the last, I don't even know how long it is. I completely lost track of when I started after my first channel got deleted. I've no idea. Time's irrelevant now. And I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Yay. I'll see you on my channel soon, so people can get to know under the surface and not just the way that we know each other on this channel. You know what I mean? They get to know what you've been up to and all of those cool things that you're up to. Right on.
Brilliant. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.